Welcome everyone to the Eve Growing Concept. Today is going to be another Vernmenting video. A Vernmenting video revealing video, right? I'm going to open up, I think 5 Vernmenting bins are ready. It's past the 8-week due date. So I packed these in August. It's October 9th, 2018. I packed these in August. So this is August 4th, 1. So these guys are over the 8-week by a couple days. 8-week deadline, which is everything comes out, goes down this drainage system over to here where the liquid ends up. Now, when it's time to open them up, I want to take out all the liquid out of each one. So any remaining. So what I do is I just move it forward like this. The liquid's going to come out like this, down here to the drain, over to the bucket over here. That is a slurry. This isn't worm tea in there. That's not a worm tea. Don't be confused with worm tea. That slurry goes out my hot composting pile, which I'll be doing a video on what I do with that slurry. I know I've talked about it like that. I said I'll do a video on that. But basically, I just drain it all like this, the ones that I'm going to open up. And the liquid goes down, and then I take it apart. Now this one isn't due to the end of the month, this top bucket. And this one is a 10-4. So basically you just take this part off, which is kind of a pain in its own right, but it's fine. Okay, so that's basically it. So I'm going to be opening this one up today. 10-4. I'm going to be opening up this one today. For the first time, I haven't looked at these since I packed them in August. So I'm going to be opening up this one. And this bottom one here is a 10-1. We'll be opening up this one. There. And let's see. And basically I'm just taking these off like that. All right, and so this is not going to be open today. That's 11. This one will open. This one will open. Okay, before I open these bins, I'd like to show you exactly what we're feeding our little red dragons, which is everything and anything. These red wigglers will eat it all. If it's organic, they're going to eat it. So when we're cleaning out our refrigerators or freezers, we don't throw it into the trash can where all this heavy weight takes a lot of energy to bring it to the landfill, where it does absolutely nothing for the environment, but impacting it in a negative way. We're putting it here in the 6-gallon bucket, and we're turning it into a soil amendment, something that helps the planet. It's not even leaving our yard, which for me is a wonderful thing. Zero waste, and what it's doing for our ecological footprint is just, it's a good feeling to know that there's another way to eliminate our organic matter. So basically, as you can see, we feed them everything. Okay, chicken bones, the things that traditional residential vermiculture will not feed their reds. With fermenting, you can, with the power of power composting. Now this is what it looks like after it's been power composting. I'll put a link below what power composting is. We roll it into a composting roll. I'll put a link there as well, what it looks like. So this is a composting roll. A lot of benefits I'll be showing up with that at the end of the video as well. So basically, after you put your duff on and you add your reds and cap it, notice right here how high I have it up there to the air holes that are around the bucket. Notice how high. It'll be important when we open it, how far it's dropped. So these are the 5 bins we're going to be opening up today, and it's just going to be a boring video. I'm bummed that it's really long, but I don't know how else to shorten this video if you want to see exactly what the process is. Notice here, fellow worm farmers, vermiculturists, I'm wearing gloves. It's important to wear gloves, especially with my castings, because they are questionable. Dealing with chicken, raw chicken, and the stuff that I'm fermenting, my castings are all questionable. And we'll be talking more about questionable castings that in other videos. Notice how far it's dropped here in these photos. These are a few other pictures of how it looks after it's done fermenting. Notice how low it's dropped. These guys are looking for more food, I think. That's a good bucket right there. Let's get started here. The first bucket that I'm opening, I think I got about 25% castings right there. And most of it was not complete, but that's okay. The 8-week timeline is just a guesstimate, a good guesstimate for most of my fermenting bins that I open up. But this particular one could have probably gone another 2, maybe 3 weeks before it was complete. But the worms have entered the rolls. They go in. They eat from inside out. So whatever's black is worm castings and what little duff I've added between the layers of the composting rolls. Now, duff is the acronym for detritus under forest floor. You know, when you take up the leaves, at the bottom there's that rich soil, dark soil. That is great duff there. But there's ways, we'll be talking more about duff, detritus under forest floor, in upcoming videos, and how you can make your own duff without having to go into the forest and rake up all the leaves and take that black soil that's underneath. We're going to show you how to make your own duff in upcoming videos. Now, all that compost that didn't get eaten will go right back into a fermenting bin, where I'll add more fresh composting rolls and date it again for another 8 weeks. So eventually, these reds will eat it all. Notice how far it's dropped. This is bucket number 2. And this one did a little bit better than bucket number 1. I think I probably got about 40%, maybe 50% worm castings in this particular fermenting bin. Here's bucket number 3 that did similar to bucket number 2 in castings, about 40, maybe 50% castings. Here I'm adding some very fine sand for the grit that the worms need to digest their food. Here's bucket 4 that did better than 2 and 3. I think I got probably 60, maybe 70% castings with a lot of worms in here and a lot of eggs in this one. I found a lot of cocoons in this one as well. Notice the unfinished compost is being added to 3 new Vernmenting bins. So I'm adding this compost this unfinished compost that holds many worms and many beneficial microbes. These Vernmenting bins will already be established. So when I open them up after the 8 weeks period, they should be even more complete than a freshly packed Vernmenting bin that you just add the reds on top. These bins will be even better when I open them up after the 8 weeks. Now we're going to open up Vernmenting bin number 5, which I believe did as good as 3 and 4. Look at all this pure castings along the side. These Vernmenting bins are so easy to clean using just a plastic card. So out of the 5 6-gallon Vernmenting bins I opened up, I got about almost 2 6-gallon buckets worth of worm castings. Some of the rolls I'll be adding to these fermenting bins come from my planters in my eave growing towers. Here in New England, it's getting ready to get cold, and I want to get these worms out of my planters and out of my towers, and I want to put them into my fermenting system. So what I do is I'm always burying fresh composting rolls in these planters. During the summer, they turn those rolls, as I've said in other videos, they turn those rolls, of course, into worm castings. But at the end of the season, I want to get these worms so they don't freeze in these planters, in these towers. So I'll bury these rolls, and I'll leave them in there for 5 to 7 days. And then when I dig them back up, they'll all be infested with worms. So these composting rolls are a great way to self-harvest these red wigglers and get them out of the cold and bring them into the warmth and back into my basement where they'll start working for me, breaking down organic matter. So again, in 5 days, give or take, I'll dig these rolls up that are now infested with red wigglers, and I'll add these to my fermenting regiment, along with some more fresh composting rolls, and I'll add the duff on top, I'll add some more reds on top, and we'll start the whole process all over again. So that's basically it for this video. I hope it was interesting for you. If you like what you see, please subscribe. I'll put some links below on my Facebook and my Eve Growing Facebook link and my Vernmenting Facebook link. And come join us and get into the conversation, and we'll literally grow up together.